we went to Six Flags, but it's still kind of good to be not in the same building, not in the same environment. So I want to talk about this, not really in open conversation. I just want to kind of share this briefly and then give you opportunity to respond. The lesson is about that we're going to talk about is well-rounded faith, and I kind of speak the lesson so I can really give you a in-depth understanding of what faith is. So before we kind of talk about what faith means spiritually, like just the word faith. Think about the word faith. You heard the word you said the word. What does that mean? Like, what does that word mean? Just, you don't have to be right, but just kind of, what are your thoughts, like, when you think about faith?
It's like to believe or to trust in something.
Okay.
To depend.
To depend on. Tyler.
Like, if you need them for something, they can go to them.
Right.
Like, you know they won't repeat it or something.
Right. Good.
To believe and trust in, but like, there's not much evidence.
Okay.
There's not much evidence.
Okay. Brittany.
I would say to have confidence in something.
Good.
You have to trust God.
Okay. Well, Christopher is dabbling in the dictionary. The actual dictionary definition is belief that's not based on proof. It's it's basically just belief in something. Right? You all said trust in something, so everyone was really right. But what I didn't even know, but as I was preparing for this lesson, is that faith is mentioned like over 300 times in the Bible. So it's a really important word. And it's important not just because we say we have a work-based religion and a faith-based religion as opposed to a work-based, but it's important because, just Genesis, those who have your Bible, if you can turn to Genesis 15:6, you see a passage and the statement made in Genesis 15:6 is something that you see that's so important that it's repeated 3 times in the New Testament. So, whoever has it first, if you could just read Genesis 15.
First Genesis 15:6.
It's only one Genesis 15.
I got it.
You got it?
And he believes in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness.
So who is he talking about? In this story, he's talking about Abram. And he says, Abram, can you read it again, Brianna? I don't know if I ever heard you.
And he believes in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness.
He's talking about Abram. And he's saying that Abram believed in the Lord, or he had faith, in the King James Version is what it would say. And God counted it unto him for righteousness. So I kind of want to go over, not just what faith is, but like that in relation to what we've talked about all week. Have you noticed all week that with all the diplomats and everybody coming in, even though we've had different subjects, everyone kind of always talked about salvation? Did anyone peep that? Like there was no lesson where salvation at some point wasn't brought to the table. And I think you always want to watch those kind of things because it's like whenever people were giving, even like from the very onset when Dawn gave her account or kind of her added her piece about the lesson. Do anybody remember what the lesson was that she did her piece with? It was shape. We're talking about shape. We're talking about spiritual gifts, and Dawn talks about Christ and salvation. Talks about how he's kept her from things like suicide, and just those aspects. Just now, when Apostle stands up and adds her piece to Larry's and talks about, okay, well, how do women know their role? How do men know their role? Oh, because when we got saved, because of Christ's love, because us being the bride of Christ, because him being the groom, because of his love, we know how to, we know how to love others. Because of his submission to the Father, we know how to submit to others. So it's a common theme. So I kind of want us to look at faith, and the reason why I want us to look at Abram is because he's really considered the father of faith. So the first real portrait of salvation or what God requires from us, you see early in Genesis with Abram. So in about 2100 BC, I'm just going to give kind of the backstory. I'm not going to browbeat you through the scriptures, but I wanted you just to see that one part, Genesis 15:6 in scripture. But because it's the last lesson, I want to kind of just really impart this from what I know and give you kind of the background. Abraham in let me cut my paper, 2100 BC, Abraham was balling. I mean, like, he would be, like, really balling today. Like, that would be somebody you would look at and he would have an invisible Bentley, albeit crazy. Or he would have, a Rolls Royce. I mean, he was really balling. He had a lot of possessions. He had a lot of things, a lot of money. He came from wealth. And he was doing well. He didn't know God. And probably really, I would assume, he really didn't need to because he had everything he needed. God comes to Abram while Abram's minding his business. And he asked Abram to leave his country and to leave his father and to just take his immediate family and go somewhere else. He didn't tell him where. He just said, it's a land I'm promising to you, but just leave everything and go. And Abraham, that's where you see Abraham 15 and 6. Genesis 15 and 6, where you see Abram believing the Lord, trusting the Lord. So he's there, having his whole life, a happy life. Here comes God, asking him to do something, asking him to believe in something, asking him to move and to leave everything, to change, and make this huge change in his life. One little, like it's nothing. God just asking him, like, oh yeah, so leave your whole country and leave your family and go somewhere. He's like, don't worry about where, just go. And this is exactly where we find ourselves when we first really learn about God. This is exactly where a lot of you are probably feeling from what you've heard, from my lesson on salvation, to the impartations on salvation, to what we're hearing about Christ. It's like, well, this is what I knew, but I'm really happy in my little life. And I'm really happy in my little bubble. And so now you're telling me that Christ is asking me, or God is trying to compel me, rather, to leave all of that and to make this huge transformation, to leave a lot of things I know I'm going to have to leave behind. Because there are a lot of things that you do. When you say yes to God, I don't want to be... I don't want to kind of like try to mask, the truth. When you say yes to God, there are things that you just naturally just leave them behind. And so here you are really in the stage that Abram was. God is asking you to do that. And really the place that you're going to go in God. I know we talk about our relationship and how we all in love with God. But y'all don't really know that. Most of you, just in the lesson you were just in, when they asked you what it is like to be in love with a girl or in love with a guy, y'all don't really know nothing about all that love. Y'all was talking about, well, he got money, he got swag, she looked good, her butt big. Like, these things, nobody out here, like, has really had those kind of life experiences. So, when we're talking about we just in love with God, we just had a relationship with God, and you don't even know what it's like to really have that with anybody, not that type of relationship. You were really like Abram, being asked to go to a place, or being asked to start a journey that you don't really know how it's going to end, or where you're really going, or if you're going to like it. Abram didn't know if he would like the land that he was going. He could be asking him to go from what was essentially, living in a house in Beverly Hills to the projects. But here he is having to trust this guy that he has no reason to. He has no reason and no proof that God is going to do it. He has no backstory where he's going to say, well, when I look back over my life and I think all the ways God, he doesn't have all that. He has this one thing, and this one thing God is asking him to do. He doesn't have people even when he could look at who, like us, can say, well, at least I have been in this situation. I know who you are. He didn't have all that. He just had to be the first, the founding father, to step out and to trust God. The first one to believe what God is saying. And to, like Christopher said, not have proof. To not have, any way to really, no way to really gauge whether God is not, like he had a Bible, and he was able to go read it and be like, well, the Bible says this. He had to really just trust God's voice. And many of you have a Bible and haven't read it, or have a Bible and don't really understand it, so you really are exactly where Abram was. You really are in the exact place of having, of not really having anything else but just trust in God. So, with that being said, I want to be kind of forthright with you that as we end and we're having service tonight, and we're kind of going to go through all of the parts where you all present and show where you've grown. But when we come to the end portion. And I saw in the schedule of apostle asked me to do kind of a call to what we would call in the church, they call it the discipleship, what we really call the ecclesia call to grace. I don't want you to really answer that now, but I wanted to use the lesson as a way to kind of open the door for that. Because the call is really a call to, are you ready to say yes to what you've been learning about? Like, you've been learning about Christ, you've been learning about salvation, but are you ready to say it? And it's not like we talked about in the lesson before on salvation, it's not like, are you ready to come stand on the altar and repeat after me, Lord, I accept you in my heart. No, it's, are you ready to believe the thing that you heard? Y'all heard them already. Y'all heard about Christ down the cross. Y'all know, it's clear now. It's kind of like, probably by this time, like browbeating. You're like, all right, if one more person say salvation, one more person talk about Jesus on the cross, one more person talk about grace. But it's a call to say, okay, now you're ready to be like Abram. Are you going to go on that journey? Now, for Abram, it ended pretty well for him. His name was Abram, and he had no children. Which, in a culture, we talked about when we heard Adame say, what does the name of a person mean? Whoever knows. What is a name? A name of a person is their what?
Nature.
Is their nature. So his name was Abram. He had no children. And so God, because of his obedience, whenever you take that step, that first step, Abram just said yes. God, because of his obedience, he changes his name. And he allows him not to just be Abram, but to be Abraham. And so he tells him to look into the stars. Y'all know the little story they used to read in Sunday school. He tells him to look into the stars and tell him that's how many children you're going to have. You're going to be a father of nations. Abraham, if you really read the story and as you study it, Abraham has so much favor from God. And not just him, but his whole seed. Just because of one act of obedience. Now I can tell you from my personal life what my one little tiny teeny yes to God did. But the reason why I want to kind of give a personal account is because it's not like y'all people out in the street and y'all ain't never met God and we found y'all, tricking, or we found y'all out here in the drug house and we scooped y'all up and fed y'all and washed y'all arms and underarms and, gave y'all a care packet, and then we wanted to say, do you want to receive salvation? You were people who, most of you have been in church for all of your lives, most of the life that you can remember.